like also both of you, when you're interviewing these different people who have not been head coaches before, how do you say, I think we should, this guy's got it, or he doesn't? How do you know?
Go ahead, Tom.
I tell you, I was thinking about this a lot when this process was going on, and fortunately, I've been around some pretty good football coaches with Coach Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Andy Reid, and I did think a lot about that, and I think it's obviously a little bit of a feeling just because you don't know the final answer, but whatever it is, I saw in those guys, you can tell after a while, and then Coach Holmgren being here with him for this last year. But I think you have to just rely on what you've seen in the past and who you've worked with and who you've talked with in the league. And after saying all that, I think Pat has it.
Okay, can I mention something, Tony? I think the honest answer to the question is you're not sure. You're not absolutely sure. There's no guarantees on anything. So you try and, when your evaluation process, you try and be as sure as you can be. But I do know this, is that we cannot keep changing around here every 2 or 3 years. You can't do that and expect to be successful. You can't do that. So my hope and why this was so important and why I'm very excited, I see these two men working together. I can envision certain things where it's a pretty good fit, and my hope and prayer is that now the changes stop. Now the growing and building begins. I think we took some strides last year. My hope is this is the coach, and this will be the coach for a long, long time, and that was part of the thinking.
With his lack of head coaching experience at any level, will you be more hands-on with Pat? I mean, last year Eric was here. He was a head coach once before. You said if he came to me, I'd ask, will you be more hands-on and be willing to give more advice game day throughout the week?
Well, Pat and I were talking about that this morning. As we speak, our IT guys are creating a phone system where I'm actually going to call the plays in the game. Here's how I'd like this to work. And again, Pat and I have talked about this a lot, is that he is the head coach of this football team. I am the president of the organization. I've coached a long time. My door is always open. If he wants to come in and bounce things off of me, I hope he does that. I know we're going to have a great relationship, but it's his football team. I can't make that. I don't know how to make that any clearer. Will I talk to him about stuff? I hope so. I hope we create that type of feeling in the building. But I'm not going to interfere. I hope to help. That's how I'm going to set it up.
Do you use that resource?
Well, I know this, and we've talked about this quite a bit. I don't know everything. One thing I learned early on is I do think I'm smart enough to know when there's a problem or something that needs to get discussed to go find the resource. And in this building and running this organization, we have a guy that's been to 3 Super Bowls. We've had a guy recently built 2 organizations to the point where the resources are remarkable and outstanding. It would be silly for me to not ask Coach Holmgren what he thinks about various issues from time to time and be able to bounce off ideas to talk about strategy and structure and all the things that are very important to an organization. And I intend to use those resources.
What is it about working under Andy Reid for a period of whatever 8-9 years that makes guys like you, John Harbaugh, and Tony Spagnuolo, Steve Spagnuolo, so ready for this job?
Well, as I mentioned, my first introduction to pro football on a day-to-day basis was, of course, Andy Reid, and he's a tremendous teacher. He's a man very comfortable in what he knows. He hires a staff of people to do a job, and watches them do it, encourages them to do it, and then helps them do it. And a man that can be in a job as long as he has in an NFL franchise in a great city like Philadelphia, the test of time is a testimony to him and the job that he's done. So I think when you look back on it, I think there's a lot of people in the NFL that would like to hire a part of Andy Reid, and I think that to me is a strong statement.
What are your thoughts about being open to any defensive coordinator in terms of their philosophy 3-4, 4-3, and talk a little bit about the decision-making process with you and Mike and Tom in terms of hiring a defensive coordinator?
Well, you hit on it, and it is a process. And at this time of year, the season stops abruptly for most teams, and there's a few teams in the playoffs, and so it is a process of hiring coaches. So from that standpoint, I really don't want to go beyond that. Not trying to be secretive or skirt the question, but we're going to try to get the very best defensive coordinator we can, and put that to play with the players that are in place.
You just said it came down to simple wins and losses. Two teams in this division right now are playing this weekend. They won 12 regular season games. How close is this football team? It's become a habit of losing 10 games every year since it's been back. How close to, and even Pat, if you want to weigh in, and Tom, but how close do you really believe this football team is to reaching that type of a competitive level?
Well, again, those types of answers are difficult. I think watching this team play, Pat's, I think it'd be unfair for him to comment on it, but Tom's, and I certainly can, off last year's performance, this last season. We were in just about every game except the last one, and that included our Pittsburgh game, in my opinion, and our two Baltimore games. We were in. Had chances to win a number of games this year. I thought they were that close. So I thought we made strides. Now, a field goal here, a play here, or this and that there, maybe our record would have been different. A little bit closer to those fellas, but they have set the bar in the division. There's no question about that. And for us to get where we want to get, we got to get closer to them. Are we making strides? I believe we are. Are we there yet? We'll see. But I know our games this year, if those are any indication, then we're a little closer than we were 2 years ago. And now, as the building process continues, you take positive steps forward, and hopefully that shows in the record, because that's what everyone sees and that's what everyone understands.
Mike, now that you've been exposed to this division for a whole season, do you think there's something to be said about presenting them an offense that they don't see on a regular basis?
I think so. Now, Pat touched on it, and as he gets farther into the job, he's going to talk about it more. Because you're going to look out at the Browns and perhaps see a little different style. No one interpret that as we're going away from the run. We got to running the ball pretty well, and we have a couple guys I think can run the ball well and those types of things. What has to improve, I think, is our ability to throw the ball and our utilization of our wide receivers. So, those things. That's built into what you're going to see. I don't think you have to give up one to get the other. I think it's a blend. I think it's a balance and all those things. The problem is, always will be, with those two teams in our division, they're both outstanding defensive ball clubs. Actually, Cincinnati, I think, is a pretty good team. They see this offense enough when they're playing outside the division, and they look at film, prepare for what they see on film. So while it might be a little bit different than they normally see from what Cleveland's done in the past, execution on our part will be the key, not so much fooling them with anything.